Hello everyone, it is Sammy, and this time I am here to try to explain red breeding paths, because I know there's been some confusion on how to use them, and maybe that's why people aren't using them. So let's just go ahead and dig right into it. Okay, so this is Red's breeding paths. It is on Google Drive. I recommend that you use the one off of Google Drive and not download it to Excel. It can cause problems downloading to Excel. Plus, if you stay on her Google Drive, it will stay updated for you because she updates it regularly. Second thing that I do want to note, you do not have to be 300 to breed the Obsidian Mythics. You only need to be 280. So this on her paths are incorrect. Okay, so with that out of the way, so what the heck is Red's breeding paths? Red's breeding paths are a way for you to use your egg tokens the most efficient way possible. It is a way for you to go from Dragon A to Dragon B and use the least amount of egg tokens possible and breed the dragons that you want to get. Follow a path, you will get the dragons that you need to get in the order that you need to get them. Okay, so first of all, a few things on how to read it. The step, and you can kind of ignore it. It's great to see exactly where you're at. You can go, I'm on step 25 of Red's Best. Okay. I can follow, anybody else can follow as long as they know what you're meaning by that. Otherwise, all you really need to know are a few key things. One, what dragon are you looking to breed? Or if you've been following a path, what dragons do you already have? That will determine whether or not you can breed a certain dragon. If you are going from gold to platinum, you need Whalnar and Feryx per this path. Are there other options to get into platinum tier? Yes, there are, and we will go over that soon. I'm just looking at her best right now. And why I am looking at her best is exactly what she says. It gives you the best dragons for their tier for the least amount of egg tokens overall. So as you look here, you have the child, you have the two parents needed to breed that. How many tokens roughly you're going to expect to spend getting that particular dragon? The level that you need to be at in order to breed this dragon. Whether that needs to be the level you need to be at to hatch them, or the level that you need to be at in order to breed them. And then the running total is, if you've been following a path, you can see, or if you're looking at a path in the future, you can see roughly how many egg tokens you will need or have used for that path. The good to use, poor to use, do not use, these are all for your mystic fragments. The mystic fragments you do not get very many of. You get them mainly in gold chests, and so you need to conserve them as much as possible. And don't just spend them willy-nilly, especially in the lower levels and the lower tiers. You will need them to progress once you get up into the higher tiers. Even with the tier-based discounting, which has allowed many players to progress through the tiers at a much faster pace, you still need them in order to progress if you want to not have to sit out a breed or a fort some point in the future. And then on the right, she normally gives you approximately how many eggs that you will get in that breed, as well as what tier you will get them in. So in this case, you have breeding to get Mune. You use Whalnar and Ferox to breed. You'll spend about 32,000 tokens to do it. It's okay to use Mystic Fragments. It will save you on the discount tokens. But if you did not use Mystic Fragments, then you would get approximately 12 gold eggs from this one breed. Okay, so now let's go ahead and look at an example. I will pull up my game here. I am on the end of Harbinger, about to go into Vanguard. And as you can see, I have a couple of dragons I could breed in Harbinger. And I have 2 dragons that I can breed in Vanguard. So why would you want to use a path then if you can just go and pick one? Well, let me show you on her path as to why. And I will bring her path back up. So let's go down to my path here, which is right here. I am at actually step 58 right here. Now, following her path, you can see I got 3 Harbinger dragons there, 2 Harbinger dragons here, 1 here, and 1 here. This means that out of a total of 9 dragons in the Harbinger tier, I only got 7. I did not need to breed Keth or Shazard, or actually D-Star. I did not get D-Star either. I did not need to breed them to progress. And this is why we follow a path. If I can progress and go higher, then the cost for me to get a specific dragon in the future, if I wish to go back and get D-Star, for example, I can then use a set of dragons in here that I would get in Vanguard to then breed D-Star. And it would be cheaper than breeding D-Star back up here with other Harbinger dragons. So that's an example. I ended up right here. I'm at step 59, and I have not followed this path exactly. You can see it says you can switch to any path here. I will go over that because it can sometimes make your life easier, specifically if you have a goal in mind. But in general, if you just want to progress through the tiers, because the lineage dragons are not going to be as powerful as your seasonal dragons will be, this will give you the best path for the least amount of tokens possible. If we go to the very bottom, you can see that you can breed all the way up to this current breeding for 5,162,248 egg tokens. If you follow this path from the beginning in red here. It will take you a couple years to get there. But following this path means you would only spend that much. Maybe less if you use Mystic Fragments. This is why you want to follow a path. If you just go and, oh, I just want this dragon, oh, I just want this dragon, you may find you don't have the parents to breed the next dragon that you want to get. And then you have to waste tokens to breed the dragon in order to get the dragon that you want. Maybe you won't get it that breed. So by following a path, it gives you a good way to go and move forward. So now how do you use it? Let's say you didn't have a path and you just chose willy-nilly and now you've decided to use a path. Well, how do you go about it? First of all, you probably will not be able to fall into Red's Best right away. So that's why you need to look at these paths down here. Blue, green, gold, platinum, sapphire, emerald. So let's take a look at sapphire, emerald. So then you need to figure out what dragons do you already have. So let's say that you have, let's just choose some here. Let's say you have Vulcan, Kelvin, Rysar, Quetz, and Kaiju. So you have those dragons. I just chose them at random. It may not mean anything. So then you can look at these paths in this specific one and decide, what can you breed? If you do not have a sapphire yet, but you have Vulcan and Kelvin and Rhizar, then you can choose any of these paths that have Vulcan, Kelvin, and Rhizar to start with. So you can choose Icicle 1. You have Kaiju, you can choose Icicle 4. You can choose AA2. You can choose AA3. And there's several different paths for different reasons. But you will notice each one has a different cost associated with it. This one's 961,000 tokens to get from the first step of that path to the last one. This one's only is 1.08, so it's more tokens than this one. But it will end you at roughly the same mythic in that tier. In this case, it's Garnet. But it will end you with roughly the same mythic. So you want to kind of take several factors into account. Icicle is a really good Granite mythic hunter. If you like hunters, that may be what you want to use. He is really good at that level that you can get him at if you max him out. He is fantastic for Temple Raid. But if you don't like hunters, you may not want to choose this path if that's not something that you are going to actually do. But maybe you want to look at the absolute cheapest path possible. So you scroll through and you look and, okay, 968, 909, yada, yada, yada. And it turns out that the absolute cheapest path of these is Icicle 4. Now, there's other things to consider too, which is when you are going from one tier to another and you are looking at how many eggs do I need for the builder hut and how far am I going to push? How fast do you get those eggs for that builder? In Icicle 1, which is the one recommended in Red's Best, you do not get the sapphire eggs for the builder until step 8. Whereas on Icicle 4, you get it on step 3. So you get it much sooner. On the other hand, in Icicle 1, you get the famous house set, which honestly, I still can't fly her properly. You get her at step 5, but in Icicle 4, you get her at step 9. You're actually back breeding her with Garnet. So it's completely personal preference using these different paths on which one you want to use. Look at what you already have. What dragons do you already have? And that will help you determine what you can do or where you need to go from there. I will give my personal example. I chose when I was going into Sapphire to go to Icicle 4. And my personal reason was because I got the Sapphire eggs so early. Because I wanted to be able to continue growing and building my base over having the latest dragons. Because I realized that the seasonals are always going to be the ones that are in my roster. The lineage, you get them to breedable or you max them out, whatever your personal choice is, and more than likely, you're going to put them away. And the only time that you may ever use them is for Temple Raid. There's a very few lineage dragons that you're ever really going to use more than that. And it's just simply because the seasonals are so much more powerful than the lineage now. Time moves on. So I went Icicle 4, and I went all the way through Stormheim. I followed the path. I made sure that I got Vulcan and Kelvin and Kaiju. And once I got those, I followed the path and bred each one in turn. Vulcan and Kelvin bred Secum. Kelvin and Kaiju bred a Nappa. Once I had those two, I could then breed a Poppet with a Nappa and Secum. And I got my Sapphire eggs. And then I used a Nappa and a Poppet and backbred Quetz and Rhizar. And I used Rhizar a lot for Temple Raid. But I didn't feel that I had to get him before, because I knew, looking ahead in the path, that I was going to get him, and I was going to get him for cheap, comparatively. So then let's look at another example. Going into Obsidian and Harbinger, I followed what most people would follow, which is the Ryo 1, because this is what's part of the best. So you have Pyrochis and Stormheim, get some more emeralds, and then Desi and Stormheim to get Noctua. And this backbreeds the Garnet Mythic Sorcerer in the process. Nice. He was extremely weak by the time I got him, but I got him. I can level him if I want. I followed this path simply because the cost was 1.01 million egg tokens. That's it. By this point, I was looking at, I'm going to use Noctua, and I'm going to use Opes, maybe, possibly, I'm not sure when I was looking at it, but I knew I wanted Noctua. But more than anything, I was looking at the cost, and the cost was 1,011,000 and some egg tokens. So that's what made me choose that path. A teammate, however, I'll scroll back up here, wanted Girasol. And he wanted Girasol to put on his perch. So he specifically chose the path. I believe it was this one actually, as Girasol D for D-Star. He specifically chose this path because it would give him Girasol on the way. And he wanted Girasol for his perch. And that's perfectly fine. He chose that for that reason. Did he spend a little bit more egg tokens than me? Yes, a little. Is it in any way a bad decision? Not at all. That was his personal preference. That's what he wanted, which is great. He's following a path, and that's all that matters. You know what dragon you want and what parents you need to get in order to breed said dragon, and how much you're going to breed. How many egg tokens you're going to use. And also, usually, how many builder hut eggs that you're going to get. And that can make a difference too. And going back to my other teammate, we have still diverged. Because he got D-Star, he's over here. He ended up on last breed getting to step 3 on D-Star. I don't know if it was 1 or 2, but he ended up at step 3. Whereas I followed Raijin, which I don't fly Raijin. I'm not using Raijin, but I'm following it because that's the path that I chose. And I'm over here. And I will be breeding these two this breed. It's all personal preference. But it's a matter of knowing these are the parents you need to get this dragon. This is how many tokens you need. This is how many builder hut and research eggs you'll get out of that breed. And then you can move on. Once you reach one, you can move on. There's abyssal paths. You want a specific path to a specific dragon. Oh look, she does have the mythics here, but she doesn't have them in the best. And do you want to get every single dragon? Okay, there's a path for that too. And it tells you, this is what step you get the dragon that corresponds to this step here. Get it if you want. Personally, I wouldn't look at this so much as I would look at her main paths back over here. And if you just want to have one link, you don't have to worry about it. You just follow a path. You'll get a dragon when you get a dragon, even if you have to backbreed them later. Follow Red's best. You start at 1, and you're like, okay, I have Kelvin and Kaiju. I can breed a Nappa. So you breed a Nappa, and you go, okay, now where can I go? Okay, a Nappa and Sekhem will give me a Poppet. Oh, I have Sekhem already. Okay, so you breed those 2, and you get a Poppet. Okay, now where do I go? Oh, I need Itaru. Do I have Itaru? Yes, I bred Itaru up here, if you're following the path. So you have Itaru and a Poppet. You just made Garnet. You just got, well, you made Garnet up here. But you just got your second Garnet dragon of Jewel, which is a really, really good dragon for his level. And you just continue going. And then you can go through and calculate, okay, this is 50,225, this is 5,625. Can I breed this one and then really grind the XP on Jewel so that I can breed Jewel and Frostbiter together to get Gorgonus to get more points? And how many egg tokens do I need? Add them together. So once you look at it and once you understand it, it's very easy. But getting started is always the hard part, and I understand that. So if you need any help, I am more than happy to help and try to explain. I hope I explained how to use it, where everything is, and hopefully alleviate some of the confusion. Most of this, unfortunately, will be specific to each individual because you have to look at what you already have in game and what you need and where you want to go. And what is most important to you at this moment. Because at this moment, for this breed, you may be looking a month down the line and looking at next fortification going, I need builder hut egg in order to continue progressing forward. And that will change your plan if you are set at a crossroads of your plan, which is any time that you really change major tiers. So from Sapphire to Garnet, not so much to Emerald, but then into Obsidian, etc. But yes, do ask. I am more than willing to help if I can. So with that, I am going to say goodnight, and hopefully breed will start soon, and we can all get to breeding. I will see you on the other side.